So we're back. I got a whole new setup this week. I've redid my software so there's no more weird lags. And I redid the microphone, so hopefully I'm loud and clear. Welcome. Just getting set up here. Got my, just getting the vibes going on with the blue incense. So, today, this morning, we're working on this thingy here. Actually, I'll show you on this one. Okay. Can I get a good zoom? Okay. This is a Morganite. If I can get the focus in here. There we go. That I started last night. So the crown is done. I've transferred the stone. Let me try and show you what I've done on the crown. It's kind of just it's a step cut that follows the shape of the rough. Basically, I just basically flattened out the sides of the rough. So I started cutting it last night, and it popped off the dot because the glue wasn't dry yet. So I re-glued it and went to bed, and now we're gonna finish this stone this morning. So I've basically got my first tier cut, but I need to add a couple more tiers. I need to do my polishing. So that's what we're gonna do today. So, but my first task is to get this back into the handpiece and have it aligned. So what I'm going to do is I've got my index on 96. Don't know if you can see that. I've got my light. Yeah, okay. So we got this on 96, and I know from my notes yesterday, these are my notes for this stone, and they're not very complicated because I already know the pattern in my head. I just need to remember the index numbers. So basically, from side 2 drawing, I know which side should be 96, which is going to be this flat side here. So basically what I need to do is I'm going to put my protractor on 0. And as I was saying last week, I'm using the cheater handpiece. So normally with this Sri Lankan style machine, whenever we want to cheat, we use the feet. And that's why I've got this little line drawn here. But with the cheater, I don't need to do this anymore. So I don't need to, normally my next check would be to make sure that my feet are level, but I never unlevel them anymore, so they're always good. And basically what I'm going to do, I've got this on 90, I've got this on 96. So I'm just finding my original girdle with my feeling. And when I feel that it's flat, I'm tightening this screw right here. And I can double check by rocking the index gear. And when I feel it flat, I let it go. If it's on 96, then I know I'm good. And it is, so I am. Okay, so next step. I did my first tier already, so my second tier is going to be 45 degrees. I want to double check the tightness of this thing, and we can get to cutting. So as I was saying last week, I got a whole new kind of lap setup and sequence since I came back from Tucson. And this centered lap here, which is the Adamas 12M, this is part of my new sequence. So I'm still kind of experimenting with this lap, seeing what I like about it, or if I like it. So far it seems good. What I've learned over this past week is that you can't run it too fast. Normally I'm cutting about 1,000 RPM. If I do that on this lap, it really rips up the stone. So if I come down to about 500, it seems to work. So I got my water drip going, got my 3 feet flat on the plate. I'm on 45, and I'm just going to come down, and I'm checking checking my alignment with my first step. Since I just put this back in, I need to make sure that it's straight with the rest of the stone, or with the rest of the facets. And it's a little off, but we can work with that. So basically I'm just going to bring down, now that I've got my, I adjusted the cheater a little bit, so I've got my lines coming in straight now. Basically I just want to bring down my second tier, see if I can show you. Focus. No. No. Okay. Well, let me just show you from back here, if I can. Maybe not. Maybe this one can show better. Okay, so there you can see faintly, yeah, my tier 2 line is right there. And I think I want to bring it down a little bit more, and then I'm pretty happy with that point. And I can kind of bring the rest down. Okay, so let's move some notes around here. So I'm just going to go and bring that new tier 2 line down all the way around. Good day. Okay, so second side is cut. I guess that's the third side now. And I'm just going to go around on all of the 6 sides and create our second tier line. Yeah, this is a Morganite. So I've got a parcel right now that I've been working on, and since I'm sort of in a self-imposed isolation, I've just been cutting 1 or 2 each day. This one I should have got done yesterday, but I didn't, so decided to watch a movie instead. And so this one, as I was cutting this first tier, I didn't realize it, but my glue was kind of wet still, or at least it wasn't, yeah, it was wet. It wasn't dry. It seemed dry, but as I was cutting each one of the first tiers, it was moving around a little bit. I couldn't really tell, but so I basically cheated in all of the indexes to make the girdle line straight, but that means that some of my indexes are quite a bit different than the rest. So I'm adjusting as I go here to line everything up. So basically I just have to cut a little bit, look, see basically if my facets are not coming in parallel, then I need to adjust the cheater so I can make the line straight. So I want to make sure that gets straight before I cut too deep. Okay, there we go. Now, bring it down. So, where are you at, Sam? Are you in America right now? Somewhere else in the world? Texas. How's things in Texas right now? I know I've been kind of following up with the pandemonium on Facebook. In Thailand, things are still pretty normal, though I think in the upcoming days they're going to get weird. But are things getting weird over in your neck of the woods? I don't really get the toilet paper thing. We're not having this issue here. Pretty much all the toilets here have spray guns on them, and people don't really use toilet paper because it messes up the toilets. So we don't have this toilet paper crisis, but sort of amusing. Though I guess if I couldn't get my toilet paper, it wouldn't be that amusing. But from a distance. Okay, a bottle of water. Yeah, we're always drinking. We have a delivery service that brings the big bottles, so yeah, I guess we're in the same boat here. Well, let's just hope things don't get too crazy over there. For me, this was, oh yeah, bottled water. For me, I guess it was sort of a good timing to start doing the live stream now, because I didn't know at the time that I was going to be kind of staying in the house for a while. So it gives me something good to do. And still connecting with people. Yeah, here they haven't closed the schools yet, though I think it's going to come soon. I think the Thai government is a little bit in a state of denial about what's going to happen here soon, or what's happening in the rest of the world. Okay, so I'm on my last side, and yeah, okay, that worked pretty well. Basically, I'm just adjusting my last line. Now, normally I wouldn't be able to be adjusting the stone this much, but since it's a funny shape, your eye's not going to really tell you. If this was a perfect emerald cut or something, if you have any crooked line, your eye kind of tells you. But okay, so let me just try and show you what I've done here, if I can get the camera to focus. Okay. And the light to focus. Just trying to show you this second tier line, if I can. It's kind of hard to show because you can kind of see there where the line's at, and then that line basically goes around the entire stone. Yeah, there you can see it well. The texture of the stone is kind of satiny right now, so the light doesn't pick it up so easily on the camera. But yeah, I've got this line that goes all the way around, and it's meeting perfectly. So I just have to do that one more time, and then I'm ready to do my polishing. So this is basically like a pre-polishing, or pre-polish grit. So I can jump straight from the centered lap to polish. And since this is barrel, and I know barrel has a critical angle of about 39 or so, I don't want to go. My last step's going to be about 41. I don't want to go too low. And again, I want to double check that the new line's coming in parallel, which it is. Okay. This one's really hard to see, even for me with the loop. Yeah, it's not quite 1200. I'm not really sure. I mean, the way that they advertise this one, they just call it the fine grit. I think it's like a 1200. That's how it feels to me. That's how I use it. But they're calling it a 12M, so maybe that means, well, maybe 12 microns. I don't know. I didn't really look it up. I mean, he doesn't really say very specifically. Is it a 1200 or what? But I kind of use it as that way. Welcome, Alfredo. I would love for you to come to Thailand when things are a little bit more normal and take the class. we're kind of on a little break right now from the school. I think we're going to move into a new location during this weird time and kind of reset up things in a new spot since we don't have any students right now. And so I'm basically on a holiday. So happy to have you guys. Ciao Arjuna, how's it going? Well, we got a guest coming today, so I wanted to get my work done early. And also, it's a good motivational time for me to just get up and get right to it instead of playing around. So we're working on a Morganite here. I'm on my third tier of my second side. It's something that I started last night. And I'm just putting on the last few facets, and then I'll show you guys how it's looking. Yeah, I didn't even go for tea today. I just went straight from I had orange juice. That was what got me going today. I hope if anyone was here before will notice that there's no more lag happening here, and also tell me you should be able to hear me loud and clear now. I've got the mic set up in a totally different way now, and I got a different mic actually. The other one was a little bit too close range for what I needed it to be. Good. Thanks for the feedback. That's exactly what I needed to know. Okay. Thank you. So now all 3 tiers are pretty much done. I've got a few chips right in the culet of the stone now, so I think I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about that. Maybe I need to add one more step. Try and take out a chip. Okay, that almost got the chip out. It's not a chip actually, it's a little hole. So, if I can get the hole out, then we can go on to do the polishing. So I'm just taking my angles up and up and up. I don't want to, this facet that I'm putting in is going to make a window, and I don't want it to get any bigger than it has to. So, bare minimum. There we go. Okay, so let's check out where we're at here and see if I can get some better lighting. Okay. So, try and get it to focus correctly. Whoops. Okay, so trying to get the light to reflect in the good way. Okay, so we got tier 1. Yeah, it's really hard to show you guys the satiny finish on here. Yeah, you can kind of see there. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, 1, 2, and then you see the third one is so tiny up here. The camera really doesn't like to focus on. Yeah, so this rough actually came from a customer. It's not mine. I'm not sure where he got it actually. Normally, I wouldn't buy rough in Thailand because actually it's not so easy. A lot of the stuff that we buy here is just stuff for recutting. I was very surprised by this because I thought when I moved here that I was going to suddenly have access to this huge supply of rough, but actually in Bangkok it's more of a cut stones market, so most of my rough, surprisingly enough, still comes from the Tucson show. Oh, come on. I tighten this on here so tight that it can't come off. It's never happened before. There we go. Okay. Yeah, exactly what Arjun is saying. You can find rough here, but every time I've seen a good parcel of rough, it's like, $50,000, $80,000, some kind of crazy thing, and they can't split the parcels up because multiple people own the parcel or whatever. So yeah, if you're just looking for one or two pieces, geez, I really put this on here tight. Okay. So since we're working with a barrel, I'm happy to go to my bat lap. I'm working with 02 polycrystalline diamond powder. And I've done 3 stones this week with this same sequence and setup, and it works quite well. And so since I know that I've kind of cheated a lot of my facets here, I know that instead of going around and doing, let's say, tier 1, then tier 2, then tier 3, and having to mess with the cheater all the time, I'm going to go tier 1, 2, 3 on each side, because I know that my cheater rotation is going to be the same on all 3 steps, because that's what makes the lines parallel. So instead of having to mess with the cheater on every facet, I only mess with the cheater on each index. So hopefully only 3 major times, because I know one of those sides is really, really weird, just from, I don't know why, because my glue was wet when I was cutting the facets and it was a little bit slidey. Okay, so just double check that I'm where I want to be. And now I'm just touching and looking, and I can see here, if I can show you, yeah, you see how there's sort of a black, yeah, that little bit there. So I can see that left to right my cheater's good, because if it was really big on one side and really small on the other side, but it's pretty much making a parallel line. And now I just need to bring the angle a little bit lower. And thanks PBJ, appreciate the love. And so I just need to watch my facet as I go down and just confirm that it is. Yeah, I need to adjust a little bit more, because I don't want to be polishing at a weird angle. I want the facet to go all the way down straight. Otherwise my nice lines that I established before get all messed up. And yeah, usually the first one, you know, if you have to adjust your cheater as you're doing this, as I am right now, the first one is the one that takes the longest, because you're trying to figure out where exactly is the polishing happening. But then once you get the first one done, you can basically just move on up your tiers, and it's quite simple and straightforward. So if you guys are faceting at home, you might notice for this particular machine we have a little bit of a different way of doing the polishing, which is instead of just sweeping left to right, which is how you usually do on the mass machine, I kind of go from outside to inside, and then when I do the cutting I actually don't sweep at all. We just stay in one solid spot, because with this machine we find that if we sweep while we're cutting, then it makes the facets a little bit skewed. So we just stay in one spot, and that works well for this machine. Okay. This facet has a kind of a deep groove in it that the lap made, so I'm just working that out. And now it's pretty much looking good, just got to get out a few scratches. I know a lot of people in the States, they really like to go really slow in the polishing, like 200 or 300 RPMs, but for me I like to go, I find better results if I go fast. The Dreamer Laps. I can, if you send me a message, I can put you in contact with them. I don't know their number, but I just talked to him on Facebook. It's a guy named Daniel Hu, and I can just make an introduction for you if you want to give me a message. Yeah, I'm liking them a lot. I've been using the preforming lap as that's become my main preforming lap. The 600 lap that they have, I like it. It goes pretty slow, But for doing the girdle is actually quite nice because it's not too fast, and also the finish that it leaves on the girdle looks pretty much polished, so I don't feel like I need to polish the girdle later because, you know, really no one's looking at the girdle as long as it's not frosty. So that kind of saves me some time. But for me, the 600 lap is way too slow, so I've just been using it when I do girdles on like emerald cuts and stuff like that. So I can, yeah, cool. And I can do that later today. Now normally I wouldn't polish one facet this long. It's just that there's a deep scratch in the facet from the I don't know. I have some contamination in that lap, that pre-polishing lap. I need to clean it, but I haven't yet. So, and I accidentally hit the spot I meant to not hit. So I'm working that out. Let me just add a little bit more diamond powder here. So this is diamond powder mixed with sewing machine oil mixed with castor oil. This is my wife's special recipe. So this is what I've been using lately, and it's nice because it's, I don't know, extra greasy. It kind of I don't know, it works. I imagine it works a lot like that snake oil extender that Gear Loose sells. It's just like extra lubricating, and yeah, it's giving a good result. So try adding a little bit of castor oil into your blend and see what it does. For us, it makes it a little bit thicker. We've been enjoying that. But then you need to double check and make sure you don't have too much diamond powder on your lap. Otherwise that causes some scratches too. The other thing too with this stone is I've cut a lot of really big facets. I think you can see by the grease here. The greasy outline shows you that's quite a big facet that I'm polishing here, so I gotta make sure that it doesn't get any scratches or whatever by the time I get done with it. So just gonna keep working it out. So far I've been really enjoying working on the Morganite. It's really, until this particular facet, it's been really easy to polish. It's been really fun to cut, and yeah, it hasn't been giving me too many crazy scratches or headaches or whatever, so that always kind of makes your confidence level go up. So this particular one is giving me some troubles. No, the transfer happens just by the eye. I can give you just a visual demonstration because I did this one last night off the camera. So basically what I do is, let's say I set down my handpiece on the table, but I don't have the angle, I have it more straight up. And so I put the dop into the handpiece. I set the stone on top with the glue, and then basically I just, look by eye, and I'm pushing left and right till I get it perfectly centered, and then my final view, I'll look at it from this point of view, like that, and as I rotate it, let me see if I can simulate what I see. Okay, so if I tilt it up like this, notice that the top corner of the stone is lined up with this gold ring, and I'm trying to keep this one steady to give you the idea. Okay, so if I want my stone to be centered, when I turn it 180 degrees, it should still be lined up with that gold ring, and it is. And then if I do the same with this side, if I tilt, this time I'll line it up with the silver ring. So if I tilt it up like that, and you can just barely see the silver ring, and then when I go 180 degrees, it should be exactly the same. Let me try that again, because you have to keep your hands really steady when you look at this. Okay, so you can just barely see that silver ring, and then when I twist it, again, you can just barely see the silver ring. It's kind of hard for me to do it like this. Usually what I do is brace it against my stomach, like I stick it here, and then I'm looking down at it like this, so that when I turn my hands, it stays really steady and doesn't shake. Because if your hands move at all, at least with this handpiece, it's a visual trick. So if you let your hands move, then you can't really keep track of when it's lined up. Does that make some sense? I know it makes more sense if I can show you in person, but that's kind of how we do it with this style. So we don't even need the transfer block, and that's why we do the crown first as well, because once we have our flat table, it's quite easy for us to just use super glue right onto the table, onto the flat dop. So we really only ever need flat dops, and we really only ever need, well, we use wax and glue, but for the transfer we only ever use glue. You could also do you could do a transfer into wax, but I've seen other cutters like in the UK and France doing this, but to me this is so hard because you just can't tell if your table's flat or not. Whereas when you do flat dop to flat table, it's always going to be 100% flat, and yeah, it works. So maybe give it a try. Do it on a synthetic practice stone, see what you can do. Though I know for the American machines, you really have to. People like to end with the table because you have to use the table adapter, and you kind of lose your alignment that way. So most people do pavilion first. But for us, we do the other way. And for most other people, we do the other way. Okay, finally on this facet, the deep scratches are gone that came from the 1200 lap. And just taking out a few fine scratches, and then we can move up the tiers. Which is good, because I didn't want to spend that much time on one facet. Okay. And so for me, when I'm getting scratches, which is usually maybe the hardest part of all about gem cutting, I think, there's a couple different things you can try to do. First thing, you can change the way that you're using the lap, and on the mask machine, this I think doesn't really work so easy. But for us, you know, normally we're polishing in the middle like here. But if I'm getting scratches, maybe I can twist the handpiece so that the diamond, you know, the spinning lap and the spinning diamond is not lined up in the same way with the stone. The other thing I can do is change my speed. So maybe I'll go up even faster. 1400 is the normal speed we use on these machines because the old machine that doesn't have the speed control, it only goes at 1400. So I can try 1400 and see if it does anything more to get some of the fine scratches out that I'm still seeing. The other thing we can do is clean the lap. I kind of think I have a little bit too much diamond powder on here, so for my fine finishing work, I like the lap to be a little bit drier actually. And yeah, that little wipe off did a lot. Sometimes if you, yeah, there we go. Now we're starting to look like a polished facet. A few more scratches to get out. If you got too much diamond powder on there, it tends to create scratches. Maybe it's balling up, maybe it's, I don't know, just embedded somehow. Okay, this is looking very nice now. This is more to my expected results. There we go. So, getting the lap seasoned, if you will, sometimes it takes a little bit of time, you know, for your first facet on the stone. Maybe you need the right blend just for that type of material or whatever. And then you find the sweet spot on the lap that's working for the stone. And then you can just go at it. Okay, I think that one's done. Got one little bit of scratching. And then I'll show you guys how this looks. So I did order a magnifying glass so that I could zoom in, but it's coming from China, so I think I'll have to wait for that one. I'm sure it's stuck somewhere. Someone who's not going to work because they're sick or quarantined or whatever. Okay, so let's check this out now. So first facet is polished, and you can see nice shining facet compared to the other two tiers, which are still very frosty. So that one's done. That was my biggest facet on the stone. So hopefully I won't have any more big polishing problems. So let's go on to the next tier. So as I said, my cheater's already set up for the first tier, so it should be exactly oriented for my second tier as well. So I'm going to come up on the plate. I want all 3 feet flat on here, and then I want to come down flat, and then I can know that I'm really at my second tier, which is 45 degrees. Then I'm going to check. And need to go slightly higher. So if you'll notice, I don't know if this will, I don't think this will really show up very well, but okay, second tier. Notice, if you can, it looks shiny, but you can see some smudgy stuff at the top. That's basically the part of the facet that wasn't touching the lap. So I just angled up a little bit by adjusting my angle forward. It tilts the stone up, and then I can get to that area that wasn't touching the lap before. And now when I check it out, it's all the way on the whole facet. The greasy smudge, I mean. That's usually how you can tell, is you look at the grease. And then with this machine, I like it because as I'm cutting, I can adjust the height by adjusting this knob. So if you see me going up and down slightly, I'm adjusting my angle a little bit in my polishing. Yeah, and so this facet, now that I have everything set up and the lap's all nice and warmed up, I don't really have to do too much. It's good. It's working well. Just have to get all the scratches and all the non-polished parts out. I don't know if you guys are noticing this. There's like a ghost in my machine that keeps changing the speed. It just started happening 2 days ago. I don't know if it's my power or there's something weird going on with the machine, but speed controller has got a life of its own. So yeah, this one, the facet's looking good. I just got one little spot, a scratch in it that I'm trying to get out. And since this is my first side, I'm not yet really looking at meet points because this is going to be the side that defines where the meet points are at for the rest of the stone. So wherever I finish with my lines, wherever I finish my lines, the rest of the facets on the other sides can meet up. What do you mean the rubber strap? What's the rubber strap? Okay, that one's looking good now. No, it's an electrical problem. You can see that when it does that, the gauge changes. I'm not sure why. It might be a faulty speed controller. Maybe it's yeah, but maybe it's a ghost. Never know, Thailand. Okay, that facet's looking pretty good. Okay, now we're gonna go to tier 3. And we're gonna come back up on the plate, come back down, check. We call this one the inspection touch. So you just do a quick touch and you just double check that your alignment, your angle, everything's good. You don't want to start committing to polishing until you know you're in the right place. And so now, okay, looks good. Yeah, you're right. I probably do need a clean power source. I should try that out. Okay, that facet's done. That's really how it's supposed to be, just a few seconds for each one. Now I'm just looking at my lines to make sure they're totally parallel. That one needed a little adjustment, so good. And now this is the side that had the funny fourth tier to get the chip out. I actually don't remember what angle that was, so I have to check. Okay, it was pretty high. 15 degrees maybe. Maybe more. 10. Okay, somewhere between 10 and 15. So I'm just using the plate to find the angle that I'm looking for. Basically, as soon as the whole facet is covered in oil, I know that I found it. There we go. Okay, so now, just to show you what I was doing right there, if you notice, oops, right here, there is a greasy, there we go, perfect. Notice how there's like a black outline around the facet. That's the grease of the diamond powder. I was taking my plate up and down trying to find the angle of that facet because I couldn't remember which number I did because it was just a little improvised thing I put on there to get rid of a hole that was in the stone. Now that I've adjusted the plate up and down and I've got the whole facet touching the lap, the whole thing turns greasy, and I know that my facet will be polished now. Table setup. What do you mean by that? This is just me polishing the facets. Okay, and that one's done. Okay, so side 1 done. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and there's a tier 4 in there somewhere. You can kind of see it. Okay, so now we're going to go on to no, I know this side's all weird, so we're going to do that side last. Hey, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, we're on the pavilion side now. So I did the top yesterday. I think you can see it. Not so well because it's covered in glue, but sorry, let me try to get this to focus. Yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to see any of the facets. Yeah, there a little bit. So that's my crown side. I did that one last night, and now we're gonna continue to do the rest of the pavilion side. So I'm gonna do this tier right here, which should go quite quick since, and I think a lot of you guys weren't here right at the beginning. I'll just show you. This is my notes for this stone. So basically, because the stone is a bit of a funny shape, I just drew the picture so that I could remember what my indexes were. All the angles are in my head because it's a step cut pattern that I use all the time. So really I just need to remember which side is which, because on the step cut all the facets follow the angles. So basically, you know, each side of the stone is going to have the same 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be basically my final cut. Well, that's actually what the crown side looks like. Now I'm on the pavilion side. So the pavilion side is mirrored. So I had to figure out all my indexes when I flipped it over because they weren't the same numbers. They were the opposite numbers. So I had to figure them out again for the bottom side. But this is all the notes that I'm working with to do this. But the step cut is quite easy. Once you understand how it works, it's not very hard at all to have it in your head. Okay, so I'm on the right angle, I'm on the right index, but I know that my cheater is going to have to get adjusted a little bit. So first thing I'm going to do is just give it a small touch, like that. And then I'm looking for the greasy part, and I'll try to show you what I'm seeing here if I can. Yeah, I really got to get a magnifying glass for you guys to show some of this close-up stuff. Okay. Yeah, it's very hard to see, but here, okay, wrong side. Okay, notice in the top left-hand corner, there's one little bit of shiny spot and the rest of it's matte. So when I touch the lap, that's the part. It's actually a little bit dark and greasy, but the camera's not really showing it. But that top left-hand corner is the part that's touching the lap right now. So I need to make the stone go to the right and down so that I can polish the whole facet. So I go down by the plate, go down a little bit like that, and then I go right with the cheater a little bit like that. Then I touch it again. Now when I look at it, pretty much the whole thing, except for a little bit of the bottom right hand corner, is all, notice how it's black. That's the grease of the lap. So I know that I'm much closer. I just need to go down into the right a tiny bit more. And I can even tell by the sound it's aligned now. Okay. And a little bit more. And then once I adjust the cheater for the first one, it's pretty much good for the rest of that index, which is why I'm not going around, I'm going up and down. I also have to double check that my girdle line's staying parallel, which I just noticed it was a little bit off, so I have to adjust the cheater a little bit more and make sure that as I polish in this side, the girdle stays flat. Yeah, I really do like this style of machine. I started off with an Ultratech, and then I moved to a polymetric scintillator, which was kind of my favorite mask machine. Actually, if you let's see, it's back here somewhere. If I can show you the museum, it's right there. So if you guys haven't seen this before, this is the Faceting Museum. I've shown photos of this a bunch of times. It's constantly growing. But yeah, so my old yeah, this machine over here, that was my old one. So I don't really use it anymore. I kind of have just fallen in love with this one, and it's faster. That's really what it's all about. It's faster. It's a little bit more, I find it to be a little bit more fun because you can pick up the handpiece and really look at all your facets. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the baby bunter, man, that one is so cool. I was so happy about that. Also, too, you know, I can't express this enough. Like the people who have donated to the Faceting Museum are just so cool. Like, the baby bunter was a gift from a friend in Switzerland who just, I don't know, found it, got it, didn't have anything to do with it, knew that I would love it, and I do. And yeah, it seems like many of the machines in the museum right now have been donated and gifted, which I just think is so cool. So nice of everybody. So I can't wait till one point when I get to, basically let this come out to the public. I really want to share it with the world, but for now, I haven't figured out a way to do it. So it just lives in the house, and guests get to come over and see it. Okay, so tier 2 of that one is done. Now these facets are small, so they're coming fast. It's just that I started with the hardest side, so I would be done with it. And tier 3, just want to make sure that all my lines are lining up really nicely. Making sure that all my lines are also very parallel. Okay, that looks good. Okay, that second side's done. So now we can see. But the facet is so cool. I think if I get a chance to pick up a facet, whether it be a Gem Master 1 or a Gem Master 2, and it's not $6,000, I will definitely get one and try it. Okay, so that's side 1 finished. Now side 2 finished. Now we're gonna go to side 3. Yeah, professional photo for all the handpieces. I think it's a great idea. I wonder who could donate their time. No, it is a good idea. I haven't got to that point yet. Maybe I can do a catalog. That would be pretty cool. Can do it like a gallery show, like in an art show, and then we'll release the catalog. That would be sweet. But I think we have to do that in America. But in the future, we'll see. Okay, so again, I adjust my cheater, adjust my depth control, put my facet exactly where I want it to be on the lap, which right now it's too high. And once I've dialed it in, I get to work. Yeah, well, you tell me, you try it. I saw somebody do a demo on a Gem Master in Tucson this year, and I was really impressed. I didn't really think I would ever see a mass machine that would tempt me back, but that one really did. But the price tag, I just can't justify it. But if I ever come across a deal or special sale, I would definitely consider it because it seemed really fast. And even if I didn't use it, it would be great to just to have it in my collection. I think that's a really cool machine, and they don't seem to be rare right now, but I think that they probably are kind of rare compared to something like a Facetron or an Ultratech that you can see for sale all the time. Okay, this one a little bit bigger, and it has another little scratch in it that I need to get out. So basically when I because I'm on the first tier right now, I don't want my girdle line to go down as I'm over polishing to get the scratch out. I keep lifting up the plate so that I'm polishing up so that my girdle line doesn't go down. And I just need to make sure that whenever I'm done doing this that my whole facet's flat and I don't leave any extra facets, but that just takes a couple seconds of adjustment to do that. So now my extra facet's out, and I just need to make sure that my facet's flat. And it's almost there. I got one little extra bit on the bottom right side. Okay, I think that one's done. One little bit. Okay, good. Fancy concaves. I think they're cool. I think they're super cool. I had a concave machine at one point. When I bought my polymetric, it came with the OMF, which is the polymetric concave machine, and I played around with it for a little bit and just decided it wasn't my thing. I was thinking, do I really want to spend a lot of time learning how to do a whole new, you know, faceting technique, or would I rather just get better at flat faceting? Because, you know, really my goal is mastery, and it takes a long time. So I just decided, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do flat faceting more than I want to learn how to do concave. So I think it's so cool, and some of this stuff really blows me away. But I still have a deep appreciation for the flat faceting, and it's still entertaining me, so I'm just going to keep working with this. I like that it's, you know, it's still really rooted in tradition and history, and that stuff really gets me excited. So yeah, I just made that choice for myself. But no, the work that people do is just so cool. I think really it is the next evolution of gem cutting. You know, it's really combining the traditional techniques of intaglios and cameos, you know, all the kind of techniques that they used to use for that stuff. And then combining it with the flat faceting and carving, it's so cool, it's so creative. It's so, I think, like next level in terms of craftsmanship, and but yeah, it's something different than this, you know. This has a different market, a different audience. And I like that as well. I'm not sure how, if I wanted to do concave, I don't know if it would work very well with the handpiece. I'm not sure how, I don't know if anyone's tried it before. I have seen jam peg concave. I think this is actually quite normal if we look into the industry in India, because India was doing a lot of concave faceting in the late 90s and early 2000s because it was popular. But in Thailand, I've seen people doing concave cutting on a jam peg, and they're really good at it too. Okay, so now I'm on the third facet of the third side. It's coming along real nicely now. One of the things that I like about the handpiece, or the doing the crown first, is that whenever you start to get finished with the pavilion, you can really start to see, let's see, as I'm cutting, I'm starting to notice, I don't know how I can show this to you, but all of the pavilion is starting to make the stone light up. It's not really showing up very well on the camera, but as I'm polishing, I'm starting to see over here that the stone is becoming a lot more colorful, whereas before it wasn't very, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't really look like anything on here, but I guess it's just the way the light's reflecting right in there and shining back the color of the stone, which is so cool. Okay. So third tier, I'm just trying to get everything parallel, and I want to get all my lines lined up with the previous facets. Okay, I think side 3 is done. Now side 4. Check my notes. Check my index. Check where I'm at. Now that was not a good sound. Ah. Interesting. Okay, I do need to come over to Siloam today, so maybe I'll stop by. Sounds pretty weird. Okay. Okay, so I just got a couple more sides to go. This stone it's coming along quickly now, which is good. I like to be able to finish a couple stones in a day. So once I finish this one, I'll take a break, and then maybe after lunch I'll start on another one. I got a couple other stones that I have to work on soon, so I don't want this Morganite parcel to take too long. But I am enjoying just having a little bit of time to get fancy with some of the designs that we're doing here. Texas, Seattle, LA, Bangkok, We got a diverse group here. I'm sad because I've chosen this time slot, we never have anyone from Europe here. Everybody in Europe is probably asleep right now because it's like 3 o'clock in the morning or something. But kind of hard to have the whole world on at the same time. Okay, that looks good. So now, okay, here's a good view of when I need to play with my cheater a little bit. So notice where to go, right there. The facet is half polished, half frosty. If I keep on polishing without adjusting anything, it will flatten the whole thing out. But if I just, and I gotta look at the line that I'm bringing in to see if it's parallel, but I think I need to just tilt over a tiny bit just to help it go a little faster, and just watch my line and see if the line's coming in parallel as well. And yeah, I need to go a little bit more. Yeah, I think if I try to do I think there is a time where I could get the whole world at once, but some people would be really sleepy, and probably I would be really sleepy too, which is not a very good way to cut gems. So 9 a.m. that's pretty good for me. I'm alert and I'm in a good mood to talk to everybody. If you get me on Twitch at midnight, I'm gonna be a little bit grumpy. So I think the morning is better for answering questions and talking to everybody. Okay, third tier on the second to last side. Now I feel like I'm starting to get into my rhythm a little bit. It's funny to cut on camera. Normally when I do this, I'm very quiet and I'm very, in my head. I usually have an audiobook on, and it's more of an internal experience, whereas now with the live streaming, I feel like it's very much become an external type of thing, which is a different experience for me. I don't think I would like to live stream every time I cut a stone, because I think some of the tranquility would go out of it. But once or twice a week is pretty cool. Okay, I think this is my second to last side. So now if we're on the close-up view. Okay, so let's check out where we're at here. So that side is what I'm about to do. These are the ones I've done already. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and a little 3. I'm trying to get my zoom. Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3. That one has 4. And this little skinny one here is going to be my last side, because this one has a really funny, I know this one is really more twisted than the rest, because this is the facet I was cutting when the stone fell off last night, and I don't know, the index is really weird, so I wanted to do that one last. But notice the huge difference here between the 1200 grit and the 02. And now 02, this is 14K, so by American standards, this is really not very polished, but by commercial standards, this is really normal. Polishing grit. Yeah, I guess it is like being in a store, or it's, for me, this is like being in the class. Normally I'm talking all day as I'm teaching the students in my class, but normally I'm not cutting all day while I'm talking to them. I just do that for a little bit, and then mostly I'm talking to them while they're cutting. So we're a little bit on reverse roles here, but this is fun too, and gives me some good practice. So you've got the machine set up in the shop. You're cutting right in the front of the store, or something like that. Oh man, that's so cool. I have a dream like that. I kind of want to retire someday and have a store where I have the faxing machine in the window, and it's just part of the experience of people that come in, is they can see us doing the work. I just think it's so cool. So I love that you're doing that. Okay, if they're knocking on the window, that's a little bit much, but still, it's really cool. I used to work at, you guys know Chrome, the bag, the messenger bag company. They make backpacks and messenger bags. I used to be a bag sewer for Chrome for one summer. I always, before I started faceting, I was sewing a lot, and I always wanted to be like a professional seamstress. So, and I was a bike messenger, and so I was thinking, Chrome, it's the coolest place, it's like a cool company, cool people, and there's like this girl who sits in the front of the store and sews all day in front of everybody, and like she's a professional sewer. And I was like, man, I really want that job. And I got really friendly with the people that worked there, and they knew that I was making my own bags and stuff. And eventually that girl got promoted, and they offered me her job, and I took it, and I had it for like, I don't know, 5 months, and I just realized that that was an awful job. And it's same thing with faceting. I think when you're sewing, you need to get in the zone. You don't really want to be talking to a lot of people, especially when you're sewing messenger bags, and none of the seams can get hidden. So normally when you're sewing clothes, if you make a little mistake, you can hide it in the inside, or you can hide it in the hem or whatever. But the heavy material that messenger bags are made out of, there's no folding, there's no hem, so all the stitches are on the outside, kind of like a facet. If you mess up a facet, everybody can see it. It's totally visible, and messenger bags are the same. All the stitches are visible, and so people would come in all day, and they just, I was supposed to be taking their orders while I was sewing, while I was also maintaining a certain quota for the month, and not able to listen to my music or my audiobook, or whatever else I need to keep my brain sane, and didn't pay very well either. So yeah, that job didn't really last, but it was a cool experience, and I did think it was cool. I think fasting maybe would be better, because I like talking about fasting. I don't really like talking about sewing. I just like to do it. Green Lake Jewelry Works. Okay, I'll have to check it out. You guys have Instagram? I'll look you guys up after I get off here. Okay, cool. I'll check it out. I hope there's a picture of you fasting in the window, because that's so cool. Do you think is it helping the sales? Are people buying more stones because they know that you're the one cutting them? Cool. Well, good luck with that. That's really cool. So you are in Seattle, so maybe I can come visit you someday and see this in action. I've got a plan for next year if I can get the funding to work out. What I'm planning to do is travel around the U.S. for 2 months. I think my plan was in June and July or something like that. I forget. Um, Basically, from LA to Seattle, then over to New York, Washington, D.C., Massachusetts, down to Tennessee. And basically, what I want to do is go around to some of the oldest lapidary clubs in the U.S. and basically make a documentary of the rise of American gem cutting, because I just did a talk while I was in Tucson about American cutting, and it got me really psyched about this whole story. It's so cool, and it's so different than every other country's story. And a lot of the people that are involved in the story are still alive, though very old. And I really want to video document everybody before it's too late. And so I'm going to try and get a grant, or maybe a few grants, to fund this thing. I just need like $5,000, which sounds like a lot, but really for 2 months of travel and expense and whatever, it's pretty reasonable to make like an hour-long documentary about the story of American fasting. I think that'd be so cool. And so yeah, Seattle's in my plan. I don't know Dallas. I'd have to look it up. I don't know. I don't have a plan for Dallas right now, or Texas at all. But who knows? I know Dalen's out there. I'd like to stop by and see him, and maybe even do a little class or whatever. The idea is that it will end at the Franklin Fasteners Frolic. So that's kind of like what I'm putting the schedule around. I want my last, basically I'll be able to go from lapidary club to lapidary club, giving my talk and interviewing people and whatever else, and just learning as I go, documenting as I go. So yeah, maybe. Okay, I'm on my last side here, so I've got 2 more facets to go. This is my really kooky side. It's really weird because the stone fell off while I was cutting this side, and the girdle's a little bit skewed, so I'm trying to straighten out the girdle as I go. It's a little bit of a mess, but I think I can pull it back together. Okay, I'll have to keep Texas in my mind. I hadn't really thought about it because, I have to keep the trip financially manageable as well. And if I try to go to every part of the country, it's basically going to take too long, and it'll be too expensive. And I don't know. Most of the really old stuff's as far as the club history goes, most of the really old stuff's in Southern California, but Seattle area and Portland area do have some pretty old clubs as well. And I want to show some of the clubs too. Some of them have old museums, old machines, old books. I'd like to show off all this stuff. This is like the one chance that American fasting has to show off its story. So I want to get it all if I can. Story. Where's the Bowings Faceting Club? This might be on my list, but my list is pretty long, so I can't. Okay, that's in Seattle. Okay, so that's maybe it's on my list. I don't really remember. I put together a kind of a skeleton itinerary just so I could write the grant, and I don't exactly remember every single club that was on there. Just where they were. Yeah, Puget Sound, and also yeah, and then there's another club in Portland, which is not so far, I guess. That has that's affiliated with the Rice Museum. I really want to go out there as well. Yeah, Willamette, exactly. Um, they've been inviting me out for a while anyway, but I just never get back to the States. I really want to go out there and check out what they're doing and do a talk and stuff. But yeah, it's also just a good excuse just to get to know more of the faceting community in person. You know, they're really the only place I ever get to meet people is in Tucson or, you know, randomly in Chicago. But there's not so many people in Chicago as far as clubs go. They don't really have a workshop-oriented club out there, so I don't really meet most of those people. But Tucson, of course, we get to meet a lot of people. And they've got the 2 clubs out there. Okay, this one is finished, or at least it's polished. It's not totally flat yet. I gotta even it out, and then it's finished. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's what I heard. And I definitely want to go see what they're doing, because it seems like they're pretty active. Okay, this facet is just about done, and then I've only got one more to go. Okay, so now I just have one more facet to go, then I'll show you guys the finished stone, and we can see how to undop as well. Okay, so my last facet, this facet looks really weird. It's kind of the cornerstone piece. It's the one that has to tie everything else together. So I need to be very careful because it's a little bit skewed right now, and I have to put it back into orientation. Okay. That looks good, but my angle needs to go up. So this one I just want to make sure that it's going to reach the lines on both sides, because I got to connect the 2 sides together. And since I have kind of a funny shape, I can kind of get away with skewing this one facet a little bit because you're not really going to be able to notice it because the shape of the stone allows it to happen. And I'm going to go all the way up to 40 because I want to make this little triangle as tall as I possibly can. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Sam TX Gems, I will find you. Okay, I want to be very careful now. My last little bit. One little tiny spot that's not polished yet. And then I'm done. Okay. I'm going to do one little correction. Okay, thanks for that. Cool, okay. Just pushing this, I got a little low on that line and I'm just pushing it up, but otherwise, the stone is done. So let me show you what we have accomplished here. So basically, on my tier 2, I went down too low as I was adjusting. So I went back to tier 1 and I'm raising up the angle a little bit to push the line up. And it's working very well. Cool, okay, stone's finished. Let me just give it another look before we take it off. I want to do one more little thing. Soften one little line. There we go. There was a little chip. Okay, so now I'll show you this other area here. Okay, so if we come like this, we can see the final stuff. Okay, let's get this out of the way. So this is the bag that I've been working from here. So that's my rough Morganite that I'm playing with. But okay, this stone's done, and let's check it out since we didn't see everything yet. So 3 steps on each side. It's just a pretty much normal step cut. If this was in the shape of an emerald, this would have been exactly an emerald cut, but since it's not an emerald, it's something else, something unique. But so I could just drop this in the acetone and come back tomorrow and check it out, but this takes way too long, and I want to post a picture of this for you guys to see in the next 20 minutes. So what we like to do in the school and for our production mode, we've got the torch going on. I'm going to heat up the DOP. Now, if I was working with an emerald, I wouldn't do this. If I was working with an opal, I wouldn't do this. But for most stones, this is not a problem. I'm heating up the DOP. Once the DOP gets hot, it's going to heat up the glue. Now, the stone does get hot from doing this, but I'm not intentionally heating up the stone. And then I can just, once it starts to get hot, I'll just start to push it against the cutting board and see. Yeah, and it just sort of slides off. So it's yeah, it's not even really that hot. So once it's totally cool, then I'll drop it into the acetone, which is here. So let me just finger this a little bit so that it cools down. Okay, and it's cool. The main thing you don't want to do is you don't want to drop it in there when it's hot, because that can shatter your stone. That would be a real bummer after you've just, done so much nice work to cut and polish your stone, then you break it. That would be a terrible tragedy. The glue that I'm using while we're waiting, this is the perfect time. This is the best stuff that we found here in Thailand. The Uhu Super, 7 grams. So the 7 grams, I don't know why this is important. There's a 3-gram size too, and somehow the formula is not quite the same. This stuff's great. It dries in about a minute, and it's ready for cutting in about 10 minutes. So you have about 1 minute of time where you can be, pushing your stone back and forth. The one that I used to use in America was the Gorilla Glue High Impact formula. That one is also really good, but the problem is it's not really ready to cut for about an hour. So I don't know. For the school, that was impossible for us to wait that long. We really need to go fast in the school. So we tried a lot of different glues here in Thailand. There's lots of types of glues, but most of them are not very good. So yeah, we found this one and it works well, but this one's getting hard to find now. So yeah, this one is a super glue. It's the same thing. What is it? Cyanosialate? I don't know how you say that word, but yeah, this one works well. The Gorilla Glue takes too long. I still have a lot of old Gorilla Glue in my fridge from when I lived in America. I brought it here and then never used it. So if anybody wants some Gorilla Glue, I'm selling it for $5, but you have to see me in person. So you have to come out here to get it. Okay, so the other benefit of taking it off the DOP is that if you put the whole dop into the acetone, it takes hours and hours for the glue to get off. But because the glue is in between the dop and the stone, but if you, let me get a clean paper, if you put it in there without the dop, it just takes a couple minutes for all the glue to come off. But we're not quite there yet, so leave it in for a little longer. So once this is done, I can show you guys how it came out, and then I will sign off of here and then go take a photo, which I will put into my Instagram story and my Facebook story so you guys can see it right away. I'll post the stone on my feed tomorrow, so that you guys can see how it's, you know, whatever. So everyone else can see it if they're not looking at the story. But so basically just want to make sure all the glue is off. And it looks like there's still a little bit of glue. So I'll give it a little bit more time. And then once the glue is gone, I like to give it a little spray with the rubbing alcohol. Well, hey, if you come out and do the class, you can get a bottle of glue for free. Let's make a deal like that. Okay, and yeah, it's looking cool. So yeah, my final step, just to get the acetone off, because this acetone's clean. I just put it in there yesterday, but sometimes there's like old wax in there as well. So let me see if I can show you guys exactly what we've done here. Okay, so let's check it out. If I can get the focus going on. This isn't a nice background. Let's choose. Okay, focus. So I do have a tiny window, and I knew that was going to happen because that fourth facet that I put on that one side to get rid of the hole was 15 degrees. So I knew that there was going to be a little bit of a this thing does not want to stay for, okay. I knew that there was going to be a little bit of a hole in there, but I didn't mind actually. I think it looks kind of cool. I did that yesterday when I did this Portuguese cut, and I think it looks cool. So it kind of gives you a focal point. But I think on the video it looks pretty washed out, like silver color, but it's just because the light's so strong. But yeah, it's nice, and it does have like a nice pink tone to it. This Morganite's a bit light, so some of it's been coming out light, but it's pretty sparkly. As for the class, it's going to be 4 stones in 2 weeks, and it's 3 stones from rough, and then the final project is going to be the recut. So we do both. Learning to cut from rough obviously is really important, but I think also the recut is really important too, because most people don't know how to do recuts, and you can make a whole business just out of recutting, depending on where you're at, especially if you're connected with a jeweler or working in your local community. There's so much work to be done for recutting. Whoops. So yeah, this is the final product. It doesn't look that great on the video, but in real life it looks really cool, and I'm gonna post a picture up here soon. So yeah, the bottom of the stone took about 2 hours. That's longer than I would like, but that was partially because I had some deep scratches that I had to get out, and because this stone fell off of the dop when I was cutting the first tier last night, there was a lot of weird cheating that normally we do mess with the cheater a lot with this machine because that's just the nature of the machine, but this one I really was fiddling around with it a lot more than I usually do. Yeah, if you guys want to check out the school, we are on a little bit of a hiatus right now due to the coronavirus thing, but let me just put in a link here. I should just put a link up on my Twitch profile as well, but school's called Institute of Gem Trading. Let me double check igtthailand.com, my streaming software. Okay, anyway, igtthailand.com if you want to check out the school. We should be back online in a month or so. We're just taking a little break while everybody else is taking a little break. So thank you guys for sticking around and hanging out, and I'm gonna plan on doing this every week at the same time, which is Tuesday morning in Southeast Asia, and it's Monday night in the US. So check it out. I might just be randomly streaming at other times as well, just whenever I feel like it. It's fun, so why not? But yeah, if you see me online, just pop in, and I'll check you guys out later. I'm gonna check out your Instagram as soon as I get off here, Green Lake Jewelry, and yeah, hopefully whenever I plan out my Seattle trip, I will come in and say hi. I would love to come in. I have yet to do a World of Fasting Machines episode about the Gem Master 2. So if I haven't done one by then I will come to your shop and we can make a little documentary about the machine and how it works. That would be really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna get out of here. We got a guest that just arrived like an hour ago, so I'm gonna go say hi to him, and we're gonna do our apocalypse shopping for the dog food that we haven't got yet. I hope you guys are all safe and happy wherever you are at in the world, and that you're not letting this coronavirus get you down. I know for me, you know, I've lost my my main income stream for the next few months, so the gem cutting and my other projects are keeping me paid up. But I hope you guys are staying safe and fed and employed and whatever else. So catch you guys next week, or catch me on any of my social media platforms. Thank you. See you later. Bye bye.